Hello and welcome to the MyClayCo studio. I am Tegan and today we're going to be doing some stencil art on polymer clay. I love using stencils with polymer clay. They are so versatile. You can do anything from just texturing your clay to adding some pigment powders, and most recently I've been having some fun playing with glitters. So I am going to be running you through these three things today and show you how you can incorporate stencils into your polymer clay creations. Let's get into it. So you won't need much for doing stencils with polymer clay. The first thing you're of course going to need is some polymer clay. So I am using this Sculpey Souffle Lilac Mist today. The other thing that you will need is a roller, just so you can roll out your clay and also roll your stencils onto your clay. Now, if you are going to be doing the stencil art with pigment powders, the other thing that you will need is of course pigment powder, or you can also use mica powder with this technique. The other thing that you will need are brushes. So we have these brush sets on our website. We love them. They're similar to makeup brushes, so they've got really soft, fine bristles. But if you don't have brushes like them, you can of course use a paintbrush as well. The other thing you will need if you want to do this with glitters is of course some glitter, which most of us crafters already have in our crafting arsenal. So hopefully you've got some there that you can try out. The other thing that you will of course need are some stencils. So we stock these stencils on our website. These ones are by actually a local business called Uniquely Creative. They are normally used for scrapbooking, but we find that they work excellent on polymer clay. So have a look. If you are into scrapbooking or you do have some stencils lying around, you can look at using these with your polymer clay. If you don't have any stencils handy, they are quite inexpensive and there is a wide range of them out there. So you can jump on the net and have a bit of a look around and see what you can find. Our preference are these stencils that are made out of mylar, which is a really super thin kind of plastic, just because they are quite flexible. So it makes it really easy for you to roll them out onto your clay and then peel them off of your clay. Okay, so first up today, I'm just going to show you how you can use stencils to texture your clay. So quite often I will use texture mats to give my clay a bit of texture, but I also find that stencils work really well for this. So I am just going to roll my clay here so that it is burnished. And then all that we're going to do is just place our stencil on here like this, and then just roll your stencil onto your clay until you see the clay find itself into all of those little stencil nooks. Okay, and then it is as easy as just peeling off the stencil and you'll find that you have this beautiful texture on here. And then all that we need to do is just use our cutter and stamp out our shapes. And it is that easy. These ones are all ready to now go in the oven. So next up, we are going to be using this stencil here. It's called the Showy stencil, and we are going to be incorporating some pigment powder into it. So I have our neon purple pigment powder here, and I have just popped a little bit into these little mini tubs that we've got. I love these because you can basically just pop a little bit of the pigment powder in here, and it just means that it's easier to get a smaller amount on your brush, because I guess you don't want crazy amounts of pigment powder on there. But what I'm going to do is I will just burnish this here, and I'm also just going to grab out these depth guides. So these are 2mm depth guides, because we want to make sure that we get the same thickness all around. And then I just grab our stencil here, work out which part of the design I would like. So I'm thinking this bit up the top is really cool. So let's pop that on here. And then again, I am just going to roll my stencil on. So you will notice when I rolled my stencil on, I kind of anchored it in the middle and then I rolled it back and then I'll roll it forward. And It just means if you were to say press down here and then press down here, you may end up with like a bubble in the middle. So I just find it good to just anchor it in the center before you do the top and the bottom. Again, you just want to make sure that it's pressed in firmly enough. And then all that we are going to do is grab our beautiful pigment powder here and we are going to brush it on. Okay, so we have this with a nice coating of that pigment powder, and what I'm going to do is just grab one of these bigger brushes here and I'm going to brush off all of the excess. I cannot stress how important this part of the process is. If you don't do this, when you pull off your stencil, you will have excess pigment powder all around the place, and it will mean that it will get in these cracks that aren't meant to have pigment powder on them, and it will muddy up your design. So let's brush this off, and we will peel off our stencil to reveal our beautiful design. Oh wow, that looks amazing. So I'll just give you a really good look at that, and I love that design. It's beautiful, and one of the awesome things about pigment powders and even mica powders, you can kind of blend them in together, so you can kind of do beautiful two-tone or even three-tone kind of effects. I did it on another video that we've got that's all about pigment powders, if you wanted to check that one out. But I really do love all of the creative things that you can do with pigment powders. So I've got a bunch of cutters here and we are just going to cut out some shapes. Okay, and then we are left over with these bits here, and so to use these as scraps, you can just combine them together again, and that pigment powder will just dissolve into your clay and will slightly pigment it. All right, let's get these ones into the oven. Now, last but not least, we're going to be working with some glitter on this last one. So again, I am just going to burnish it to my tile. Let's get that even thickness, our depth guides. And then I have this Twinkly Stars stencil here. So I am just going to roll this onto my clay. I love this Twinkly Stars stencil because it's really cool for creating both celestial kind of themed creations, but also Christmas stuff. Looks really good with it. So let's get our glitter open. And I have this little spoon here because I have learned my lesson before with trying to pour it on, and I ended up with so much glitter everywhere. So all I'm going to do is just spread this out, and that should be enough. You don't need too much. And then we are just going to rub it onto these stenciled bits here. And you can already see that that glitter is grabbing onto the clay there. So one thing to note when you are using pigment powder or micas or also glitter, it is definitely a good idea for you to seal your creations. If you don't seal them, you might find that over time, the glitter or the powder will rub off. Now, I have found the easiest way to get rid of this excess without too much mess is to actually just pour the excess either straight into a container or straight into the bin if you, I guess if you don't have too much there. So I am just going to go pour this into a container so that we can have a look and see what we've got here. Okay, so I have brushed off all of the excess, and I have this paintbrush here that I actually have dedicated to brushing off glitter, because as we know, glitter gets into everything. And I don't want to use the brushes that we use for our pigment powder and things like that, because I just know that we will never get the glitter out of them. I have got all of that excess glitter brushed off, and now what I'm going to do is just peel this away, and we should have a beautiful glittery design. Oh, that looks amazing. Okay, let me show you what we've got here. How beautiful is that? Okay, and we will cut out our shapes. All right, and again with our scraps, we can then just combine these all together and we will end up with a gorgeous lilac glittery clay. Okay, I am going to go and pop these in the oven. So all of our Stencil Art creations are almost finished in the oven now. I'm going to go and grab them out, put them together and show you what we've made today. I hope you've enjoyed our video today on using stencils with polymer clay. If you do have any questions, we would love to help you out. Just drop them in the comments below. Otherwise, please like and subscribe if you want to see more of our tutorial videos, and we will see you next time.